It's your boy DJ Wolf here, dealing with this crazy traffic on a gorgeously beautiful but yet hot ass Thursday evening. What's going on, guys? Hey, I got a couple things on my mind. I'm reading a couple of articles on blackamericaweb.com. I'm not going to give you word for word what it says, but one of them was talking about the young man who got shot last week, Philando Castile, and they were talking about him having a firearms permit, and it just dawned on me as I was reading. As I was reading the article, and they said he had training and everything, and one of the things that he was told was not to tell him directly to the officer when they question him about, his license and registration, when he was to not say I have a gun, but to say I am a licensed a firearm permit, which is what he should have said, but I'm not sure exactly. I don't recall if the girlfriend said that that's what he said or not. But anyway, here's my take on it. I was wondering how the NRA is so gun-ho about being gun-ho, having guns, knowing that this young man had a firearm permit to carry, a license permit to carry. How come the NRA, even though he may or may have not been a member, and I don't know if he was a card-carrying member of the NRA or not, how come the NRA didn't defend him? We already know the answer to that. At least unless you've been hiding under a rock. Because that's where you can know how biased the NRA really is. Now, this was a black man who had a firearm permit to carry a licensed gun. All right. Yet, when he mentioned this to the officer that he had a firearm, the officer shot him 4 times. Now, where the fuck was the NRA when you needed them to support you for your right to bear arms? Yeah, where the fuck were they? You guys are fake as hell, NRA. I'm going to say that. You're fake. And the reason why I'm saying you're fake, because this was an African-American man, although he may or may not have had an NRA, he may have not been registered with the NRA in terms of membership. He had a lawful right to carry a firearm on his person, okay, in the state of Minnesota. Yet, when he attempted to let the cop know that he has a firearms permit and had a weapon, before he even got a chance to even give him the license and registration, the cop shot him to death. So where are you, NRA? Where the fuck was y'all at when this black man who had a lawful license carried firearm permit to all of a sudden get blown away because he had a licensed firearm? Where were y'all at? We all know the answer to that. Nowhere to be found. Because the NRA is mostly organization that makes money and helps push lobbyists out to congressmen to make money through the gun manufacturers. Because the NRA's concept is protecting yourself from people who you think are unlawful, yet this lawful abiding citizen wasn't, they didn't stand behind him. And because the reason why they didn't stand by him, he he wasn't the right enough color for them to stand behind him, which I think was really fucked up. That's the contradiction about the NRA. You defend certain people with the rights to have arms, but this black man who had a right to have an arm, to bear arms, in his state where he resided legally, got killed for nothing, and you don't defend him. You know? That's a major issue, man. Also, I was reading excerpts from T.D. Jake's statement about what happened in Dallas as well as in Minnesota and Baton Rouge, and he briefly mentioned about accountability, but it didn't say a whole lot about it. You know, and the president's speech, from what I gather, he didn't say anything about accountability, really, from what I hear, and from what I read. And I've read it on a couple of sources. Then I watched this morning Philando Castile's girlfriend on both Good Morning America and The View. She didn't mention a word about accountability. She didn't mention anything about the officer to be brought to justice. Nothing about it. Not one word. Not one word. She didn't say anything about he needs to be arrested, brought to trial. Not a word about it. No, I mean, the narrative, and even with when I was listening to reading what the president said, as well as T.D. Jakes, and even Al Sharpton, none of them talked about we need to bring these officers in to justice. We need to bring these officers in to be arrested, and they should be charged with murder. Should be charged with a crime, a major crime, which was murder. You know, and so far they haven't been arrested, and no one's questioning it. That was the thing that amazes me. Only thing they're talking about is training and policies. That's it. Procedures. That's all they ever talked about. Now, here's my thing. Also, officers of the law, they do have to protect themselves. Don't get me wrong. They have every right to protect themselves. Okay? And although I do agree that there need to be better standards and procedures and really sensitivity training, not only sensitivity training, but training officers needed is about race relations. No one was direct about that. You have to have relations within your communities that you are protecting. You need that. All officers. I'm dead serious. Black, white, pink, and blue, doesn't matter. And I noticed that's the one thing they don't have. They don't have any real relations within the communities. They don't. You know, if you don't have any good, really established good relations within your communities that you protect and serve, and you don't get to know them people because you really don't care, that's a problem. That's like me going to my job and not knowing people to contact for things I need to collaborate on, things I need to work on. Why would you be doing that on 8 to 10 hours a day and not know the community that you serve? You know, that's ridiculous to me. It truly is, and that's part of the problem too. You know, you got these trigger happy, and I'm not, you know, particularly these high-ends. Because let me tell you a story. I was in the men's bathroom probably about a year ago, about a year ago, maybe a little longer than that, over a year ago. And this white cop comes in the bathroom and he speaks to me. Hey, how you doing? I mean, he was very loud and stuff, and I was like, and I kind of was a little apprehensive to talk to this guy because he was very animated, and it creeped me the fuck out. You know, I saw him a couple of times after that, and that's just, I don't know, but it just creeped me out because he was so animated. I didn't know what he was up to. Somebody mentioned recently, they said that there should be mandatory drug tests for all officers. And you know what? I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Also, one other thing I wanted to talk about. Notice when the two officers killed the black guy in Baton Rouge. All right. Although there was some attention focused on what they did, they put more attention, the media did, as well as the police, put more attention against the BLM, Black Lives Matter movement. Now, although I've said some things about Black Lives Matter, and my issue really was to change the name. And I read something about that. I might just tell you right now. I saw something in an article today. I think it was might have been Black American Web. I'm not sure. Where they somebody addressed themselves as "Our Lives Matter." Now I don't know if that's a good name to rename it or not, but I would say our lives matter too. You know, but nevertheless, despite the fact that I've had some differences of opinion about the BLM movement, I don't think in their hearts of hearts that they're there to incite riots. I don't believe that. I've never believed that. Never. I think their organization really primarily is one of peace. But they're falsely being accused of starting this, that, and the other. And I said, personally, I don't believe. I'm not associated with them in any way, shape, or form. But I don't think they would do that. I don't think they're about that. And I think for the most part, they're falsely being accused of those kind of things. Right in Baton Rouge. Matter of fact, they said there was a woman, I think she threw a get-together for a BLM group I was reading about. Right in Baton Rouge, and the cops busted open the doors and they arrested a couple of them. You know, they didn't specify any specific reason for it, but I think what they call that, disobedience or something like that. Anyway, but that got more attention from not only the media and the law enforcement than the two cops who murdered Alton Sterling. That amazed me. How was it that the two cops got less attention than the Black Lives Matter movement for what they did? The reason that the Black Lives Matter organization was down there protesting in the first damn place. Yet, also, the black man who allegedly, and I'm not gonna say, who alone allegedly shot 5 to 10 officers and a civilian by himself. I'm not saying that that's not possible, but I'm just saying that, honestly, they focus heavily on him. A lot, not that they shouldn't, but they did a lot more than they did the 2 white officers who pinned down and shot that black man to death in Baton Rouge and that black man to death in Minneapolis. Or should I say, Minnesota. It just amazes me how they twist things around. When they want to focus on a bad person, they prefer to focus on somebody who's not white. And that's just what they did. That's just what they did. But I've heard all kind of rumors about what may have also taken place down in Dallas in that situation, but I don't really want to talk about it because I don't know if that was true or not. I don't want to spread rumors about this, that, the other, because I don't know. All I know is they said it was one guy, black guy who was a soldier, and matter of fact, from what I was reading, he also didn't have a criminal history. So I don't know. It's, sometimes I really don't know, man. I don't know what this world coming to anymore sometimes. I'm hoping for the better. But I just, I just think personally, and like I said, this is my points again. First, any officer who violates and the unarmed civilian, any unarmed civilian, okay, their rights, okay, if you violate it, especially when you take their life, an unarmed civilian for no reason, a law enforcement officer, through no struggle of the unarmed civilian's own. In other words, if you're taking advantage of that unarmed civilian, brutalizing, beating them for no reason, unjustly, completely unjustly, like in the case of these two murders, you should automatically be up on charges. And yes, I said it. You should automatically be up on charges. Because I guarantee if it was the other way around, them cops would have had you nailed to the wall. Like they did that young boy in Texas. He started shooting the cops. And what they do, they killed him. They didn't arrest him, they killed him. And yes, I said those cops should be arrested. Those cops who shot the black man should be arrested. And I'm saying it, bring them to justice. Don't sit there and put a grand jury ahead of the trial and then try to close it out like they did up in my home in Cleveland with those two cases, the Tamir Rice case and the case with Officer Brillo last year. Really? That shit was a joke. Both of them. They didn't give a fuck about Tamir Rice. That poor kid, man. From my city. They just, they just fucked with him, man. He's sitting on the park bench, They know it was reported. The 911 dispatcher reported that it was a toy gun. That it may have been a toy gun. And they willy-nilly went over there and shot him. Knowing that kid was not a danger to anybody. He never was. The videotape proved it beyond a shadow of a doubt. And like somebody said the same thing I said. All they had to do was park about 5 or 10 feet away from the kid, put the bullhorn out, and say, "Young man, would you please put the gun down?" And I'm sure he would have complied. What was he going to do with two officers with real guns? Instead of the two officers try to ride up there like fucking John Wayne or some goddamn body and just shoot him. Sight unseen. Don't even read him his rights. Don't even get a chance to find out what he was up to in the first place. Just shoot him cold blood. That's like two people riding in a car trying to shoot deer. They did it for the sport. That kid was not a sport. He was not an animal. He was a human being with a life and family. And you cut his life way too short because you didn't give a fuck. That's the problem. It's your boy DJ Wolf. I'm going to try to fight the traffic and listen to some radio here because this is crazy. Just like everything else that's been going on lately. I know I kept saying I plan on doing the show. I will be doing the show tomorrow night. I got to get it done. I got a lot to do. I'm going to the play. What's the play? The play by BB Winans is coming up this weekend. I'm going to go check it out and give you a full review on it this weekend. It's supposed to be a very, very good play. His nephew and niece are actually playing the roles of BB and CC Winans. Born to Do This. That's what the name is. It's called Born to Do This. And I'm sort of amped to see it. I know it's going to be very good. So I will be giving a review on that. Also, one other thing I wanted to talk about, and I didn't get a chance to talk about it, so This is, and it just happened recently too. Some other things, developments happened within the past month, and I didn't even know this. Sierra and Russell Wilson got married almost 2 weeks ago, and it took me by surprise because I didn't even know they were getting married this early. I thought they were getting married later in the year, but they got married in July, and I thought they were getting married in the States. They got married over in England. I might have talked about it, but I don't remember. I did or not. I don't know. Anyway, so they got married, and I had to say congratulations to them. Prior to that, there was a rumor that was released from the court documents that Sierra filed against Future, her ex or her former baby daddy, or a baby daddy rather. And this Bama, they said, had threatened, and this was reported by TMZ. In the documents, said it was he threatened to kill. Where they were saying that he was making statements like he was trying to make threats against Russell Wilson's life. And I'm like, that's some old punk shit. I'm gonna say it. That's some punk shit. Why would you do that? You know, first of all, you are no longer with that baby mama. Okay, that baby gonna always be your kid. You know, and he's not your first child. On top of all that, you know, you've been running around, you know, planting your seeds everywhere, you know. Well, that's another story. Here's the other thing, and I got 2 other comments about that too. I just recently saw a video, I think, was it yesterday? I think day before yesterday or night before. I happened to stumble upon a video of Sierra and Russell Wilson. I don't know if it was a performance that she was getting ready to do or something. They were going out. So they looked like they were in the bathroom or something like that. Big restroom, public restroom, so where they blocked it off so he could get made up or whatever they were doing. It looked like they were ready to do a performance or something. I don't know. So anyway, it was Sierra and Russell Wilson. I guess they had the handlers with them, and then somebody was holding. I guess the nanny was holding Sierra's son, and so he said, "Mama, kiss." Well, she gave him a kiss, and then he came over and then he asked for Russell Wilson. He just said, "Pop, kiss." He gave him a kiss. So people are already putting him on blast about that. Now, with that in mind, number one, I can say this wholeheartedly. I think Sierra, and I'm going to say it because I'm starting to really think, and people have said it, and you know, it's kind of dawning on me a little bit more. Is Sierra doing it to rub this in Future's face? Is she doing it to rub it in other women's face? You know? Because I was wondering about that. Because a lot of, you know, like certain things that has been publicly done, I'm sure she could have just said no. No. But I kind of noticed it myself. I said, you know what? She's exposing herself an awful lot, personally. You know, certain things we didn't really need to know about. You didn't have to get video shot about that. But she did allow it. And this video, I know she allowed it because it was in a private room. Okay? Well, I'm assuming a private room that person didn't have to have access to, because otherwise they wouldn't be in there. At least I don't think they would. All them handlers was in and around them. But she's allowing it. I guess she calls herself trying to say, well, see, this is what you have when you have a good man. You know, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. You know, that's kind of what I sensed when I watched it. You know, and I sort of didn't really defend him anyway, neither him or her. But then I didn't defend Future either. But I'm also looking at this. I'm trying to put myself in his shoes. If I'm the baby daddy, it's so hot now. If I'm the baby's father, right? I don't know personally myself if I could take my ex girl or whatever, or ex woman or ex wife, constantly showing pictures of her, the baby, and the new man. I think that's kind of overboard. That is overboard, you know. So in that case, I could side with Future on that. Can't side with him making threats against Russell Wilson. No, I think that's fucking wrong. That's wrong on all levels. It really is. But there's a but to it. But I can kind of understand where he's coming from in terms of that would be bothersome if you won't keep rubbing in my face. Okay, I get it. I already know what you're going to, what you're dealing with. I already know what you got going on now. That's enough. So, if she don't, and that mother thing, if she doesn't want people to talk about her and Russell, you know, and her involvement with him, then you shouldn't be putting it all over the place. You shouldn't be videotaping every damn thing y'all do. You know, I'll say that. Some things are meant to be private. You know. I said, no wonder he was tripping. If there was a reason for him to trip, as far as I'm talking about future, as far as him getting upset at Sierra for constantly putting videos of all her new family, you know, outside of him making those threats that they said he did, allegedly. Because I think if that was the case, he was absolutely wrong. Otherwise, for Sierra to keep rubbing his face, I think that's bullshit. That's the last thing you don't want to be doing to any ex anyway. Humiliating. That's ridiculous. So, and I just thought I had to get that off my mind because I've been meaning to talk about that for the last week and a half. So, the simp went ahead and did it. Oh boy. So, brother, wait until she get a baby from you. Things might change. Alright. This is DJ Wolf. Any questions or comments related to anything I've said tonight, please feel free to give me a holler. On my comments box under For All to Hear TV on this show, or this program, or this podcast rather. Also, I can also be reached at For All to Hear on gmail.com, which is For All to Hear at gmail.com. My Twitter page is at For All to Hear. Of course, you got For All to Hear TV on YouTube, and also my For All to Hear at Outlook.com, as well as my DJ Wolf Live at Outlook.com. Alright, guys, I got more to say on the back burner. I'm do a show tomorrow night. I'll give you a time. It's probably about 9